All right. There we go. All right, are we on? Okay there?
Yep.
All right, so I'll call the public hearing. We have a public hearing first before our school board meeting. And I'll call the public hearing to order. This is a public hearing notice on the proposed book donation from the Children's Library Literacy Foundation, CLIF, C-L-I-F, to IRS, CES, and EVS in the amount of $25,000 per school, and a $6,500 donation from the Jack and Dorothy Byrne Foundation for IRS Destination Imagination, pursuant to RSA 198:20-B. The hearing begins at 6 p.m. So we'll open the public hearing, and as you saw in your packet, there's information on the CLIF grant and the Byrne Foundation. I guess we'll go in reverse order. The Byrne Foundation is for Destination Imagination, as we heard from last meeting, and many thanks to them. Is there any other comments on that one? No. So that will cover a big chunk of what they needed. So, cool.
Very nice.
And then on the CLIF grant, are there any questions for the board on that? Now, if I'm correct, we did this year with IRS, and so this is expanding to CES and EVS next year, right?
That's correct.
Cool, very cool. And I saw that not a lot of schools in the Twin States got them, and we have two of them.
And we have two, I
So
know, it's
very
very
cool.
well, it's a job well done by our grant writers.
Very, very nice job. All right, open it for public comment. Any public comment on these two grants for the hearing? Big thumbs up. All right. Anything else on the board? All right, then I'll close the public hearing at 6:04. That being said, we'll call the public meeting of the school board to order, and we will start with our pledge of allegiance. Please rise and join. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First on our agenda is approval of minutes.
Make motion that we approve the public and non-public minutes from April 5th.
Second.
And Kathleen, was that second or vote?
Yeah.
Did I hear a second?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, any comments on the minutes? Okay, all right, seeing none. All those in favor of the motion to approve the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed and abstentions. Kathleen will abstain. All right. Public comment. Open the floor to public comment. Anyone care to weigh in? Dr. Buffett, go ahead.
As usual, I'm here related to some thoughts about COVID. I think we've been lucky in that the Mascoma Valley peaked with about 15 or 16 cases in recent weeks, and is on the way back down. There have been no cases as of this evening in the Mascoma schools, and again, that's good. So we somehow managed to get by spring vacation without a major surge like they'd seen up in Hanover and elsewhere in the not too distant area. But I think it raises the issue. I mean, this variant does seem to be more infectious, and the subvariant even more so, but luckily not particularly causing a lot of severe illness, hospitalizations, and death, at least as yet. But it certainly got my attention that people that have been vaccinated and using precautions are still susceptible, including some relatives of mine, and our vice president as of today. So it's an issue that I think required some consideration from the board about what criteria, what metrics you would want to consider for reevaluation of mitigation factors that might be needed in the future, because unfortunately, I think it's not if, but when we end up with some more severe variants. And having the luxury of planning at this point and some experience under our belt, it behooves us to really seriously consider how that plan for that response rather than just do it as by the seat of our pants as we had to do when it was a novel pandemic. And depending on what state level executives do related to that, it may require some difficult decisions about local control versus executive fiats that may be a difficult situation. So just throwing that out, wanting to, absolutely nothing needs to be done right now, but just thinking about it and preparing. I'd rather be prepared for the worst and not have it happen than not be prepared again.
All right, thank you, Dr. McKay.
Could I just give Dr. Buffet
Yeah,
a
of
quick,
course.
Dr. Buffet, I just want you to know that we're no longer sending letters from the SAU office with positive COVID cases on a daily basis. Instead, we're reporting, as we've been asked to do by the state. On the website, we have like a spreadsheet, and it's like every Friday we put a number. So last week we did have 7 cases total. This week I anticipate the number to be about the same. So
Interesting that they're not on their dashboard.
it's not on the, I don't think they're updating it that often.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I think
Yeah.
the state was a bit overwhelmed, so that's why they asked us to stop reporting in individual cases to them on a daily basis. They only want to know on Fridays,
If we don't see it, we don't know it.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Any other public comment? Anyone out there in Zoom land with a brazen hand?
Did you hear?
Oh, no, yes, go ahead,
Is
Mr.
this
Sweet.
the time I should?
Oh, no, hang on,
We-
you're doing.
We have you
Thank you
on
very
the
much.
agenda.
on the agenda, but you're sort of last,
I'm gonna
so
That's
bump,
fine.
I'm gonna bump him to even farther
Thank-
last. maybe.
farther last.
On the
It's
last,
not
next,
possible.
next week will be fine.
Is there someone out there in Zoom land?
Yeah, Amanda 8.
Okay. Hello, Amanda, if you just state your name with the town where you're from.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay? Amanda H from Canaan.
It's gonna say your last name.
Yeah.
What's your last name?
Oh, Herman.
Okay, go ahead.
So I just wanted to bring up a couple of concerns that I had that you guys are probably familiar with. But a couple of days ago on, I'm sure you love to hear this, a Facebook page, on the Canaan community Facebook page, a mother asked if anyone else's kids have been having issues on the buses. And believe it or not, there have been over 100 comments from not just parents, teachers, but also bus drivers from the district. And it has been like an overwhelming amount of response that I agree with, of kids that are vaping on the buses, swearing, throwing things, sharing inappropriate videos with younger kids. There was a mom who shared that her child came home with a pudding dumped on her head. Kids telling bus drivers to F you right in their faces, and that nothing is really being done about it because they can't do anything. Reports that the cameras on the buses don't work, and I know from a personal incident on the bus that's actually accurate, that many of the cameras on the buses don't actually work, and that when they need to pull up a video, that there is no video. And that's just really, really alarming to me. And then when we go and we look at what's happening in the school, the high school specifically, I'm getting reports from my own children that there is constant vaping in the bathroom, nonstop vaping going on in the bathroom. That is so bad. And that the school decided to address it by closing almost all of the bathrooms except for one, but that the vaping is still going on. And that as recent as this week, my daughter was using the bathroom stall. And of course, there were people vaping in there, and a teacher came in and cleared everyone out, sent the people who were vaping to class, and kicked her out of the bathroom as she was in the stall doing her business. And nobody got in trouble. And my daughter was not able to finish going to the bathroom. And this is a common occurrence every single day. And it just continues to happen and continues to happen. And I don't understand why this is not being addressed in a way that it's making a difference. And now there seems to be one girls' room, which is crazy for the amount of girls that are in this school. And it just doesn't seem to be like there are punishments that are actually addressing this problem. In addition to that, I know that recently another girl overdosed in the bathroom, according to the rumors. I know that recently new books were handed out in English and pills fell out of the book. I know that there have been weapons brought to school. And I know that just yesterday there was a fight breaking out in a bathroom with a student who supposedly assaulted other students, and this student was trying to address it. And I just am wondering what is going on at this high school and who is in charge. And in regards to the school resource officer who comes in late and leaves early, what is his job here? Because underage vaping, it's illegal. So why are charges not being pressed? Why are consequences not meaning anything? Why is there no respect for the rules, other than I understand that a lot of this needs to come from home and it's not, but this needs to be a learning environment, and that's not what this is. This is an environment where these children don't give a crap about where they are or what the rules are, and they are making the people around them uncomfortable. They have no respect for their peers, for the younger children on the bus with them, for the teachers who are there to teach. And it just really, really seems like everyone has just thrown up their hands and said, this is how it's going to be. But this is not how it's going to be. This is not okay for this to continue happening. My daughter needs to be able to go pee and not inhale secondhand smoke and not get kicked out of the bathroom when she's trying to go to the bathroom because she didn't do anything wrong. And my other daughter, who rides the bus with the high schoolers, needs to be able to ride the bus without getting harassed. And there needs to be a conversation, I think, first and foremost, about how teachers are addressing this and why our school resource officer is not doing more when it comes to illegal activity on a school level. If you're going to search our school for drugs, you shouldn't be telling our students that there's going to be a search for drugs the next day. If you're going to be searching for vapes, don't be telling our students that there's going to be a vape search the next day. That's been happening. That's absolutely ridiculous. Of course, they're going to hide them or not bring them that day. This needs to stop. And there also, I think, needs to be a discussion about when do we separate the older kids from the younger kids on the buses. This is really inappropriate. We're talking about having kindergartners, 5-year-old kids, 6-year-old kids on buses with these 16, 17-year-old kids who are telling the bus drivers, F you, and smoking on the buses with these children. And there are parents on this chat on Facebook and teachers on this chat as well who are agreeing with what these other parents are saying, and that they've seen this behavior too. And bus drivers who are saying, we hear you, we agree with you, we have the same problems, our hands are tied. And no one knows who is responsible. Is it the bus company? Is it the school? Is it the parents? Somebody needs to address this before a bus crashes, a child gets seriously hurt. This just has to stop, because the focus here is learning, and nobody is going to be learning when they're worried that this is constantly happening. So I really think this needs to be addressed very, very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. And have you talked to our Amanda? Have you talked to her before?
I would be curious as to what Mr. Toll said when she reported these incidents to him.
Yeah, so we can follow up with her.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
Mr. Toll is here on the
Yeah.
thing. I'm sure he heard everything.
Okay.
Hopefully this isn't the first time he's heard from Ms.
Right.
Herman, so,
Right.
you know, that's.
Am I unmuted still?
No, you're
Yes, go
still
ahead,
on.
Amanda.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that I am a big fan of Mr. Toll. So I am Team Toll. I think he should be the permanent principal. So I am a very, very, very big fan of Mr. Toll. So let me just say that.
Here, Amanda, and you know as well as I do that he takes things very seriously. We're only as good at the administrative level as what we know. So when kids have information, we really encourage kids or even parents to get in touch with the building principal right away so that we can address this right away.
Well, all I can say is that Mr. Toll is only one man, and your teachers and your staff, if they're gonna just break up vaping and just send your kids back to class, like, your staff needs to be on the same page. Like, you know, like, and going down to one bathroom is like not the fix. And, you know, I understand that. Like, I really feel like you guys as a district need to figure out a more permanent way to deal with this. And some of the stuff online, some of the chat, like, I don't know if you guys want to look into this, but some of the chat were like parents like, I'll volunteer to ride this bus. Like, y'all need a parent on that bus to be like, I will crack, you know, like, I will crack down and no one wants to mess with mama. Like, you know, like,
That's right.
there are parents volunteering. And so, you know, I'm happy to sit in the bathroom one day. Oh, I am happy to sit in the bathroom. I don't want to be on a school bus, but I'm happy to, you know, I am happy to sit in a bathroom and take care of business, but there just needs to be a long-term plan. If the staff is not on the same page, and if these students don't know that there are consequences, like, I just don't understand why a child who is under the legal age of smoking keeps getting away with this. Like, there just needs to be real consequences. And like, maybe if other students saw like, oh, this person is getting charged with underage smoking, like, my mom and my dad are going to be really, really upset with me, and like, see that this is happening. Like, at some point, like, these students are going to stop if there are real ramifications for these actions.
All right. Thank you, Amanda. I'm going to have to wrap it up with time. But yes, we will. Thank you for your comments. And Kevin is obviously on the call. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Any other public comments? Anyone else raising their hand out there? All right, cool. All right, continuing business, finance and facilities. Brister.
We met on April 5th, and we went over you see the reports we got in here, facility report from Corrado, still talking about all the things he's got going on, custodian rate of pay. I'll get to this other subject on the bottom of the page in a minute, the Route 4 updates. Finance, Rob had just went over his reports, wasn't much really to change. Cafe services, transportation, we discussed the driver shortage again. Needs to go out to bid next year for the transportation one. Driver's education is going great. And what else was on here? I know I don't last, we don't go very long in these meetings.
No.
So, I don't know if I can bring it up now, or I can bring it up later on.
What, Route 4?
Route 4.
You can bring it up
update.
now.
Okay.
Part of it, fine.
All right, so you see what I wrote in there, and had a discussion, and wanted to bring it to the full board, because Mayor wanted me to bring it to the full board. The suggestion is that nobody's had the right idea, or let's put it this way, haven't come up with any $1 million answers to this right-hand turn, left-hand turn coming out of the, down here by the high school. My suggestion is to temporarily try it, is put a sign up, right-hand turn from 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning, take the orange cones that we had down to the parking lot, have somebody, the custodians or somebody, first thing in the morning, line them up so that they cannot, so they're lined up going, so they have to go out of the parking lot down below in a right-hand turn situation. This would be something it's like trying to train these people that you're not going straight across, you're not going left-hand turn, you're going right. And if they go down and around, come out to Blackwater Road, fine. The cones would just be sitting there for the morning, then move them aside later on. And I've talked to Corrado, I've talked to the resource officer, I talked to see who would do it, you know, it's just, every time we have something on this discussion, it's always, somebody's got, give me a better solution then. I just think it's a temporary, try to see if we can get people to do this and alleviate the problem without any added expense. And the cones will stay there for a while, you know, just put them aside and then put them back out in the morning and just see what happens. See if that eliminates the traffic situation coming out of the school in the morning. And, you know, people aren't gonna run over the cones. I mean, it's just exasperating. I mean, to me, it's exasperating because I was on the building committee, Cookie was on it with me, and we went through everything we could go through in this whole school. And it's just, you know, we went through everything, through the state, to every other project we had to do in here. And this project, this here with the Route 4 thing, it drives me bonkers because all I'm trying to do is come up with some kind of solution to give these people an education to say, okay, this is what we're gonna do for a while and see if it eliminates the problem. You know, we ain't gonna do it in the wintertime, but maybe if we can do this now, while it's still, you know, springtime and we got a little bit left to go to the school year, maybe we can get the people to realize that, hey, you gotta slow down. If I had my way, I'd take that big sign that's down here, it's telling about the bridge work coming in, and I'd use that for a while and tell them to slow the heck down. You know, that's sitting there now for the bridge work coming up, May 9th, whatever it is. I just like to try this for a while. If it doesn't work, we haven't lost anything, we haven't spent anything other than labor, which I don't see a problem. The custodians are there early in the day, they can put a vest on, get out there and put the cones out there when they get in here to work first thing in the morning. And just move them aside after 8 o'clock. It's like putting the flagpole, like putting the flag up. Okay, that's my idea for a temporary thing with Route 4, and see what we can do.
So my question's on that, have you talked to Town of Canaan, what they thought, or the Canaan Police Department? Like, have they weighed in on this type of idea?
Why would I need
Well,
the Town of Canaan for that?
Because you're interacting with a state road.
No, I'm not talking about state road. I'm not talking about state road, we're talking about our entrance.
Right, you're changing a traffic pattern. And so, what you're doing is you're removing the ability of traffic to turn left. And so by shuttling all the traffic to the right, you now have to have a place for some of those people to turn around. Whereas in Enfield, like, they have it where they can turn right away, like they take a right out of the school and then they can turn left immediately. There's not, yeah, it is Blackwater Road, but that is just something to consider, so. And then also, like you said, bridge work, they are starting bridge work on there and in May 9th, so that's gonna be quite a while. They're doing, it's the bridge between here and the Enfield town line, so. That's just what I just suggested. I don't disagree. I think it's a, good trial.
Should we, Tim, then, do you think, have Canaan PD come to the next Finance and Facilities meeting to talk about this?
I can go see it.
Yeah, have them, just have them come.
I mean,
What do you
I
think?
also, that in the meeting before this, I mean, I do think there is a solution to this.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is, I think, I'm not saying that a trial isn't a good thing, but I think the real issue is that we need to do a right-hand turn. We also need to do it across the way
Yeah.
at
At
Blackwater
Yeah.
and not allow people to jut across the road.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's probably, and yes, it reroutes traffic back there. I think we're talking a 15 or 20-minute time period, 7:30 to 8. But I'm wondering if this is, I mean, I think that would solve for it for the most part. I know Cookie was looking into having the sign move forward, but that might not be that effective.
Yeah.
So it seems to me, why aren't we approaching the Canaan Police Department at this point and saying, this is what we want?
Because you're gonna have to put the cones into the road.
No, I'm
Yeah, you
not.
have to.
No, I'm not talking, no.
But if we try it temporarily, that's the right-hand turn,
that-
see
that
if
is-
it'll leave something.
I'm,
No, you have,
Tim, you're not visualizing what excuse me, you're not visualizing where I'm putting the cones, okay? They're not going on Route 4, okay?
but you have to put them into the road.
No, you don't. You don't. Use your own driveway. It's your own driveway. You don't, and with the issue, I'm just saying, the issue with Blackwater Road, that's a town of Canaan's situation where they have to put the sign up, not us. And that's what that is.
We need to
okay?
find out if they will or they won't.
Yeah,
That's right.
and that's just going to approach them.
Yeah.
Okay, so that sounds like the solution. We'll invite Canaan PD
Rob's on it.
to the next Finance
Got
Facilities.
I
And we
mean,
can,
this is technically considered Royal Road, right? So
Yeah.
does Canaan consider it a road and not a driveway?
There's a
I
private road?
don't know.
I don't know.
Good
I-
question. Good question.
Good question.
I do not know.
Rob shall invite Sam Frank
Okay.
to the next Finance and Facilities meeting, May 4th, so next week.
All right.
Okay, great.
But also, if we do, we go with Brewster's route, we're gonna have to give some sort of, we can't just do it one day.
Right.
Yeah.
We
It
would
has
need
to
to
be communicated.
communicate it, and that's doable.
Yeah. Be sure to add
As long as we're not
15
interfering
minutes
with
to
the
your,
bridge work or
to your
something.
morning. if
Yeah.
you-
I have a question. So you said only in the morning this would be applicable to. Why not the afternoons? Is there a substantial difference?
Yeah, there is. There is.
So you don't
Traffic
really-
detail, if you see
Okay.
what the traffic is at 3 o'clock compared to what it is at 7 to 8 o'clock, it's a big difference
Okay.
in the morning.
We get more cars because people are dropping off their kids, but not necessarily picking them up.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
and there's
the
no,
cones-
there's no
cones-
traffic going to work.
The cones are not going out on Route 4. That's what I'm trying to explain to you, okay? And without going out there and showing you exactly where it's gonna be, where I decided, I thought it would be a good idea was to put the cones where they have a lane for where they go left-hand turn, they have a lane where they go on the right-hand turn.
Mhm.
If you eliminate that left-hand turn and kind of put the cones so they have to veer to the right-hand turn and go right-hand turn with the cones, you don't put them out on Route 4. You got enough of an angle so that when people are coming in, they can come in on the left-hand side.
Right.
All right?
If
I've
you
already
don't-
already
I'll
chatted with the
discuss it
police
later.
department, but anyway.
All right.
It's not a big solution for somebody, I guess.
All right. Anything else on Finance Facilities?
Yeah, I do. I do have one more thing.
All right.
I need to have, and it's something I relayed to Amanda on the phone to Martha, is I need somebody to temporarily come on the finance facility meeting for the simple purpose of, if I go back to work and Hope's available, I still have to have at least 2 people at the meeting. And if I do call in, I gotta have 2 people at the meeting. So the only people that I could, on this board, who I thought would be available. Probably the only person who would be available would be Kathleen, because everybody else is working during the day. Tim is, Danielle is, she's not available. The reason being is I can't do a Zoom meeting if I don't have two people there. I can't do a phone meeting if I don't have two people there on the board.
Right.
So if I could get, and I can't get Candace on because she's working over in Manchester or wherever she's got to work in the daytime. So the only possible person, and I can't change the time. See, I know this is important because I want to make this up. I can't change the time because or the date of this thing, because the time is, the date I can change, the Tuesday or Wednesday, because I changed it for Cookie's situation years ago, is because of Rob being around, of the Corrado being around, all the people that need to have that meeting around during the daytime. So if Kathleen's available to do this temporarily for a while, it's only, you know, you can see how I run these meetings. It's only a half hour to 40 minutes at the tops, out at the very tops.
I don't understand why you have to have two.
Because,
Tim,
yeah.
I don't think we should talk about this unless it's in non-public, due to
Okay.
reputation.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, we just have, we'll discuss it. All right,
I'm just trying to get,
Well, I
Yeah,
had
no,
one
I
other-
understand.
you know what I'm trying to do?
I
Yeah.
I had one other question related to one of the topics. There's a discussion around the custodian rate of pay for student workers and substitutes. Is that something that that we need to think about increasing those pay rates so that we can fill those positions and avoid the more expensive contracted services route? Because the student workers and substitutes aren't on the support staff.
no.
Right,
They're
so
independent, yeah.
We've been in discussion with that
Yeah.
last two meetings.
Yeah,
Okay, so,
I would agree with you, I can't think of a student worker taking $9, let alone 12.
yeah, I mean,
Because they go
you
work
can
at
go to Target for
And
what,
they
16,
16,
17?
Yeah, all these places are.
just so you know, we've been on discussion the last two meetings on this. Okay?
Right, yeah,
So
that's why I'm asking about it, to see if
we're
there's
still
additional
we're
action that
still
needs to be
trying
taken.
to find a way to.
It's a delicate balance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, because according to the negotiated agreement, we don't want to pay more than we would pay
Yes.
someone
Yeah.
that works here currently. So
Yeah.
we are looking at that, but you're exactly right, $9 doesn't cut it when they could go to Ziggy's and make 12, 15
Yeah.
as student workers. So we've had multiple spots for student workers unfilled this entire year, which has
Yeah.
been difficult
yeah.
on the staff, so.
And that also traditionally has been one of the places where you've been able to offer career pathways
Yes.
for student workers to
Yeah.
become permanent staff, so.
Yeah.
Not to cut you short, we've gone all around with this,
Yeah,
you know, trying to get it so that they, you know, it's a good stepping stone for them to
Yeah.
go off in employment. We've tried, you know, I got Corrado trying to
Mhm.
go for it, so,
Keep dancing the delicate dance and
yeah,
figure
so
out what we can
going.
get.
Yep.
All right, communications committee.
Okey-doke. So we met on Thursday the 7th, we've got the draft notes in your packet. I thought it was really interesting that we continue to have good traffic to our website and app. And, as we, in the season for kindergarten and preschool information being circulated and registrations and all of that time, those have been parts of the website that have received a lot of interest. And we'll have, for kindergarten screenings and the different orientation periods, we'll be putting some information about the website in the packet of information that's distributed so that we can catch families while they're new to the district and make sure they know where they can go to find information. We also talked about how we can continue to share that information out by either by having some sort of, we talked about maybe doing a magnet that could go in a new mover packet for, and work with our realtors in the area so that when there's a new home that's sold, that folks can have information about our about our school district, easy access to that. Talk about Seth and the AV Club designing a QR code that we could use on that. So instead of having something that would only be useful for 1 year with a school calendar, having something that could be utilized for a long time to come. And
Okay, because we both still use our IRS
yeah,
PTA magnets.
we both have
with old calendars.
Yep.
Because it has everyone's phone number.
Exactly. It had all the phone numbers for all the schools, so yep, still up on my fridge, and I haven't had someone at IRS for quite some time now. So we talked about that, and then also that would be you all might be interested to know that the AV group in club will be having open lab sessions over the summer. So again, something that addresses some of the goals for the district, as well as our strategic planning on making use of both the facilities and have additional programming for STEM related activities. So our next meeting is on June 2nd. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, cool. Thank you,
Thanks.
Danielle. All right, superintendent's report.
So in my packet, as promised, you do have the strategic plan update scorecard. So you can see that I looked back at the 2021 sections. Those are, we have some significant progress in some of those. And then I also did a scorecard that's very, very red because we really did not make a lot of progress this year for the 21-22 school year. I would say that this scorecard would be helpful as we start to look at our subcommittees, looking at what our goals, reviewing our goals, and those subcommittees reviewing our goals at the school board retreat. And then when we start to look at the strategic plan, obviously by the amount of red, we still have some work to do. So I think, instead of the 5-year strategic plan, I do believe the pandemic has afforded us the opportunity to make this like a 7 or 8 year strategic plan, just simply because we were unable to get to some of these. And honestly, as I reviewed it, there are some of these that are just no longer needed, right? Like we have sort of pivoted in a different direction, and I think that's for the better. So we'd be looking at adjusting some of the objectives as we start to look at expanding and refining the strategic plan for the next few years.
Any questions for Amanda?
I noticed that there are a couple of boxes that had colors not on.
Oh, thank you for asking. I appreciate that. So those mostly happen in the 2021, and you will see that the blue is there, and the blue really is there to signify that that was something that was sort of on hold for COVID. And then you can see we sort of picked it up, so we really started it again, and we're now progressing. And that is the portfolio piece that we're really looking at, electronic portfolios. So our librarians along with Pamela are really working on getting those in place. And the purple I'm most proud of, so it's on the final page there, that little purple square. Very, very proud, thought I was pretty clever. That objective there is to say that we would partner with the Enfield TV cable network. And by far, we have surpassed that. We thought we had that as a goal, and here we are with our own YouTube channels, our own live streaming. And as a parent, as I start to look at different schools and what they offer, I'm very disappointed that a lot of schools no longer are streaming some of their sporting events or plays or things, not that you can stream the play, but other things like that. Just because, they didn't have to, and yet we continue to do that, and I hear very, very positive things. So I gave us the big old purple check for that one, because I was really proud of the work we've done there in surpassing our objective.
Great, thank you.
Cool. No, I think that's been great, and I think everyone's grandparents who live in other parts of the country
I know.
have just relished being able to see their kids play sports and perform music and all sorts of stuff, so I think you never know what comes out. All right, anything else from Amanda? All right.
So as far as next steps with this, are we just gonna discuss it during the board retreat?
Yeah, and I'm
or-
looking at reconvening the strategic plan committee, because there are still technically 2 years we would need to write to complete this plan, to the 5-year plan that was originally set out to be.
Yeah.
So I'll be looking this fall at reconvening the people that were on the original plan, on the original work session force, if you will. We didn't call it a committee, it was a
Working
Work
group.
group.
Working group.
Yes.
And so we'll be looking at that. Those people that are unable to attend, I imagine the parents, as I kind of go through who some of the
Yeah.
parents were, they'd probably be willing to come back. So we'll be looking at them. If they're not, I'll put out a call to anyone that would like to be on the committee.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, totally. Rob, Business Administrator's report.
Good evening, I just have a couple of things. One is I have a memorandum of understanding from the Community College System of New Hampshire. And this is for dual and concurrent enrollment, which allows high school students to take community college level classes and get credit for them. There's a grant that provides funding to offset the cost of tuition for going to a community college system class. And we do have, and we have had, involvement with students that have gone to River Valley Community College and taken classes, and these are geared towards any courses that are considered STEM, science, technology, math. And this is, I just need a board chair signature. This is actually renewal. This has been in place already. So we've already been doing this, and we do not manage the grant ourselves. It's all taken care of by the Community College System of New Hampshire. So if you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them.
So you're looking for a motion to approve that renewal?
Sure.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the renewal of the grant for dual enrollment with Community College System of New Hampshire.
Point of order. It's not our grant,
No,
so,
it's not our grant.
so we're,
We have to approve signing off on it, on the MOU.
On the MOU.
Okay, then approve, all right.
Approve the
Then I'm
MOU.
looking for a motion to approve the MOU.
so moved.
Okay, Danielle
Second.
and Kathleen, all right. All right, any other discussion, questions for Rob on that?
No, but I learned, participating in Destination College virtually this year, that the students, even in that summer between high school graduation and starting in the fall at college, can still take advantage of the free class. Wish I would've known that last year. I made some suggestions in my household, but yeah, I thought that was that was something I had not thought of
No.
at all, as far as thinking about transferability of credits and the kind of leg up that we can give to students and families in this district, because it's definitely a cost savings,
Definitely.
even when you're looking at state schools. So.
Cool. All right, so motion on the floor is to approve the MOU. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor of approving the memorandum of understanding between us and Community College System of New Hampshire, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed and abstentions. All right. Go ahead, and Rob, you have your other rest of your.
My other item tonight is concerning cybersecurity. In this climate, we are constantly battling cyber attacks and being vigilant about any sort of internet spyware and threats. To that end, we need to upgrade our firewall sooner rather than later. Unfortunately, the tech initiative budget line has been pretty much spent for the year. So I'm requesting from the board to transfer $8,975 from the health insurance account line, which has a surplus. It's about 10% over. We still have a balance of over $440,000. This was budgeted carefully, but then people move, take different positions, so we have some funding left over. So the request is for $89.75 to move from the health insurance account line to the technology initiative account line.
I'll make a motion that we transfer the funds, transfer $8,975 from the health insurance budget to the technology initiatives budget as requested.
I'll second.
All right, Kathleen, second. And discussion. So this is, so how do you feel the health insurance budget's okay, like you said, people move, take different plans,
Yes,
stuff like that?
yes, and we've encumbered costs in the health insurance budget line already, so the 440,000 is
You don't-
uncommitted.
So you don't anticipate any further
Do
big
not
charges on
anticipate
that?
any other.
This is essentially for premiums.
Right,
Yeah,
yes.
Craig knows all about this.
yeah, Craig know about this?
Well, I mean, I'm asking.
Yes,
I would presume. he does. All right, any further discussion
But
on
this is,
firewalls?
a transfer, isn't that something that does end up on the audit? It's
Yes,
it's
it would be
listed.
officially recorded, correct.
Okay, and this is really the only one I've seen.
We did move lines with your permission for Mr. Little at one point earlier this year.
Okay, yeah, all right.
But
Oh,
you're
yeah,
right, this
that's
is
right.
very rare, we don't like to
Right,
do
'cause
this.
it is something we have to,
But there is a need
Yeah.
for the upgrade to the firewall, and this is a discounted rate on the firewall, so we would like to move on it fairly quickly.
Yes,
Okay.
especially given cybersecurity threats these days, so.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of moving 8,975 from health insurance budget line to technology initiatives budget line, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed and abstentions. All right, cool. Anything else? Rob?
Oh,
You good?
that's all from me tonight.
All right, cool. Public comment response update. Anything of note? All right. Quarterly reports. They're all here. Who wants to go first? Who should go first?
Oh, probably curriculum.
Yeah, all right. She's the first to turn her camera on, so take it away, Angel.
Thank you. So my quarterly report primarily includes highlights that you maybe have seen in the monthly curriculum newsletters, but a couple new pieces of information in here. So we are providing a summer learning program for students. Again, we're looking at either 2 weeks that would be half days or 1 week that would be a full day. And we're seeking staff for that currently. So kind of finishing up that process, making sure we have staff in place, and then we'll start getting information out to parents next month. We'll use the same process that we did last year. So looking at some teacher recommendations and testing scores to try and encourage particular families to enroll their students, kind of a first come basis, and then we'll open it up to anyone else who would like to send their students. And again, we'll continue with that STEM focus. This year, I'm also looking to try and do some interventions, either push in or pull out. So working on staffing for that as well. We'll continue to use ESSER funds to pay for that. Response to intervention, we continue to have tutoring after school. That's now happening at both elementary schools and at the middle school. And so teachers are working with students that have been recommended through the RTI process. And at this time, Crystal Smith is also tracking that information. So at the elementary school, she started using Ames Web to gather that information and report back the progress. So that has been a great addition. And a nice way to help some students have some growth during the school year rather than waiting until they get further behind. In March, we had our professional development day, and we really made an effort to have offerings that were differentiated so that people could hopefully have all their professional development needs met, or probably not all of them, but many of them. So we had lots of great administrators and staff do presentations. We had UDL, multi-tiered systems of learning, the 5 dysfunctions of a team, one trusted adult. We did some frontline training, some Google project-based learning. So we had a good variety of offerings. Grants, we continue to work on them as always. The high school scheduling committee is going to get started this spring. We are actually going to have a meeting this week to do some planning and pick out some dates, get that moving forward. So we're going to do some research this spring and summer, and then implement a couple of pilots. So we would actually test out a couple schedules for a couple days and see how they work for us, and then gather stakeholder feedback. So we want to make sure that goes smoothly. That is going to take some planning. So that's why we're starting that this spring. Then we would have that ready to bring to the board and make some decisions by the winter of next year, so that if we are making a change to the schedule, that would be in place before we actually did scheduling in the guidance department. So working on that. The other piece, kind of in conjunction with this, we are looking at a new student information system. Redeker really is becoming outdated in some of the functions that it has. And so we're looking at some new systems. And so again, we would make that change so that it fits with our scheduling next year. So if we are ready to move forward with an implementation, we would do that next year, making the transition and doing professional development, and then actually making a change for the following year. So this is something that Rob, Craig, and I have been working on, doing the research really, and bringing some different presentations to the admin team and starting to gather that information. Curriculum review cycle continues, still looking at the math curriculum. We have selected some dates in July that we're going to do a mix of professional development, writing curriculum, and then looking at our current programs to make some decisions if we are, again, going to make a change. We want to make sure that those are research-based decisions. Frontline for professional growth. Big shout out to Kamala, who has helped smooth through that process, and the professional development committee, who really has been working hard to get everything updated. The historical hours are in now, and we're getting ready to close out for the year, which is a new process. So providing some information to staff so that they can do that. And just last thing, we are continuing to work on our robotics teams and getting them up and running. And on March, we did also have some professional development from First Robotics to bring some robots and do some hands-on training for them. Any questions on curriculum instruction or assessment?
Anything for Angel? Cool. Thank you, Angel. Looks all good.
Thank you.
All right. Mrs. Fleming, you have your camera on. How would you like to go next?
Oh, thank you so much. I usually go last or stuck in the middle. I appreciate that. So IRS is very busy right now. Today was the first day of athletics for baseball and softball. It was a little chilly and raining. So at IRS, I can say that COVID was really, really quiet. Up until this week, really there was 0 to 1 cases, and all that's good stuff for our students to be in the building, for attendance. It's just such a major impact. And I'm so glad that, our numbers are low and our kids are doing okay and they're in the building, because we know they learn best when they're healthy and in the building. So our census numbers, we've had a few ups and downs, but nothing, major. Some students with some needs, and I'm sure Crispy, so his quarterly report will express that, but some students with high needs have moved into the district, and you will see as it impacts budgets for special education. I have amazing things to say about Miss Hollander. She's amazing. And she was awarded the Emerging Leader Award from New Hampshire School Library Media Specialist. Like, she is amazing, and that's a huge honor. We're so thrilled with that, and we're so proud of her. She does so many amazing things for kids and giving away books. She just met me today for another book fair and getting kids ready to reduce the summer loss. So that's really important, of getting books in kids' hands. She's also trying to make sure that they have free books for the summer. And how do we collaborate with public libraries to do that? So we're so proud of her for that amazing award. We had some winners in a recent contest put on by the high school. Next up for a contest is Dragons. So, we had, one student placed in all categories. So just really awesome. We have the Susical this weekend, Friday night, Saturday. I played some Susical Junior music yesterday. I play music every day in the building. Today was jazz band. Yesterday was Susical. I think it's going to be great. They brought over the props to the high school. So they've been practicing for a while now, working through rehearsals. And I snuck over to the high school yesterday, was their first day in the auditorium. It was so fun. It's so exciting for the kids to be over there and use the space. And, 5th and 6th grade, they haven't been over there. So it was great to see them over there and, checking out the space and getting ready. We do have RTI for our Tiger Time block, and we still continue with that. We have assessments that are given and we monitor progress, just like Angel mentioned, but academic focus is always on the front burner for us as well. So 8th graders, they got to meet with guidance counselors and pick their classes, and that was really exciting. They came over and they talked to our students, and it was interesting of how many sheets were lost for picking their classes. At this time, no students are in jeopardy of retention, and we always have those conversations as early as possible. But students are working hard, and we run reports every single week. And I personally meet with students that are struggling, and we look at how we can support students, because executive functioning and academic support and what that looks like. It's especially through the pandemic of, and then we're talking middle schoolers. So how do we keep them on track? Year of the book still going. We had mushers this winter. It was really, really awesome. All of 6th grade was outside. It was a beautiful day. I did include a picture in my quarterly report, but it just doesn't do it justice. Kids got to talk to the musher. They got to hold the harnesses, and it really brought a lot of the things that they're reading about in class. They were learning about the Iditarod units and like reading about books and stories and things. And it was just really amazing to see it come to life and really put it in perspective. As you know, Indian River School is a PBIS school. So we follow PBIS framework. So we have tiers: universal, tier 2, and tier 3, universal being for everybody. And we have some amazing staff members who work on these teams to support. Right now, we're in the middle of a rollout of respect, and it's really made an impact. As you can see in the chart, the graph. So this graph is part of SWIS, which is our behavior tracking program. And it's really amazing because it can track over periods of time. It tracks particular infractions, and I can run a report at any time if we know a student's really struggling or if they're not. And I think sometimes there's a perception that a student, has all these major behaviors, and then we're like, we can pull those reports about students and talk to parents. And so we're doing the building, and students, they're really doing well. And it's great to see the numbers decreasing. I do think that's based on all of the efforts of the staff in the building and, meeting students, explaining the expectations to them, and then students seeking to meet them. So I'm pretty excited about that. Like it's one thing to, talk about it, but when you actually can run, and I think it's valuable data, I think it's good data. I think this is pretty reliable. It's pretty amazing for the whole Indian River School to see where they have come and that progression of, the reduction in office disciplinary referrals. Lastly, we just continue to focus, meeting high academic and really trying to support social emotional needs. That is something that we've seen an impact from the pandemic, is social emotional and executive functioning. Not that middle schoolers, didn't already struggle with that, but that is always a battle of, we trying to find things and keep organized and using their planner, and we just continue to move forward. So we have a big weekend this weekend, and then we have the Destination Imagination trip coming up in May, and concerts, and going to be a run as we move towards the end of the year, but pretty exciting stuff. I think I also included in your packet some information of field trips and some changes that were made. And I think that's also in there. I think Martha slipped it in there.
Yes, that's in our packet, yeah.
Yeah. So we just have a few changes. And, teachers have decided we have enough busing issues to send kids far away coming back at 6 o'clock at night. It's just not feasible. So they recognize our needs and, trying to make trips within the school day and make it work. And what other opportunities can we bring to Indian River School? So those are some things that, they've strategized and what they need to do.
Cool. So do we need to make a motion to change these then?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do need approval
Okay.
on the new field trips or the changes.
So looking for a motion?
Do we need to incorporate the graduation note as well?
Yep. So graduation, same
Oh.
time as last year. We loved the football field, being out there. It was outside. Worst case scenario, rain inside, but really giving the families that option to bring as many people as they want and, and be outside, especially, with still given COVID concerns.
What if it rains?
In the auditorium?
We will go in the auditorium. It will be reserved and we will need to limit tickets at that time. It'll be pre-planned of how many tickets based on the number of students. That is the worst case scenario. I don't want to do that. But that will be the backup plan.
All right, so yeah.
Right, I'll make a motion that we approve the Indian River School end of the year field trips and 8th grade graduation ceremony as presented.
Second.
All right, Kathleen with a second. Any further discussion on those? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of the changes to field trips at IRS and the 8th grade graduation date, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed and abstentions? All right. Thank you, Mrs. Fleming. Anything else?
I'm just, it's great to be able to see our athletes and all the drama. There's so much stuff happening at school. It's just so fun right now.
Busy time. Any other questions for Mrs. Fleming? For the board? Okay. All
Thank
right.
you so much.
All right, Mrs. Whalen, you got your screen on. Welcome. Good evening.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
You got it.
Yeah, so see, now I figured it out. If I put my screen on, I get to go earlier. So I would have done that sooner if I was as fast as Tina was. So my report will be really brief. You have it in your packet. And I have to say, in sort of a lovely way, it's kind of status quo. Things have been calm. The ARC program continues to be fairly seamlessly integrated into the rest of the building. There have been no hiccups there. Our enrollment, although we have gained a few and lost a few students on the net, it's been the same as it was at the beginning of the year. The challenge has been the biggest challenge has been the same, continuing to look for paraprofessionals to fill out our empty positions. Probably our biggest news was the Cliff Grant, which we've already talked a little bit about. That was quite exciting, and I added it down in my appreciations to just do a particular call out and thank you for Crystal Darling. She has done so many different things this year, everything from getting the book walk installed outside and finding someone to do that work for us, to certainly the Cliff Grant, but also she's worked to help us bring in our Read to Me therapy dog. We've done an Adopt a Goat program, so we have a goat coming to visit, and all sorts of other literacy focused things. So just a special shout out to her for spearheading the grant work on the Cliff Grant. And other than that, I guess I would just take any questions because like I said, it has been, knock on wood, it's been fairly calm.
Any questions? Cool. Like I said, cool and calm. Sounds like you guys are plugging right along.
Yep, we like that one. All right then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Cole, welcome.
Well, thank you. Good evening.
Evening. Take it away.
So, you have my quarterly report under acknowledgements. Our SALT team on April 7th helped Friends of Mascoma put food boxes together, and you have a list of the SALT students: Abigail Waugh, Anna Sullivan, Brody Goulet, Brianna Thurston, Keely Staplefeld, Allison Goulet, Ben Seiler, Cardigan Lupus, Josh Williams, Megan Clough, and Peyton Morley. And they really helped out that organization and did a lot of nice things, according to Mr. Ramage, who is the advisor. We have a congratulations to Ben Seiler for being nominated and selected to the All New England All Regional team. This certifies that Ben is one of the few top school soccer players in all of New England states. Not easy. He was nominated for that and received that award. So we're very proud of Ben's accomplishments and that award itself. We also had 3 wrestlers this past winter earn state wrestling champions, Damian Nessel, Owen McKinney, and Roman Farnsworth. And they were in the thick of it for the team, but fell a little bit short, but we did get 3 state champions. So that was exciting. As Tina said, it's a very busy time. As we're looking to graduation, we're looking to graduation week with seniors. It's a little more intense in middle school. So I'm learning as I go, and we're getting things ready. Professional training. We had staff participating in our district-wide professional training on March 25th. Many staff members presented topics and ideas for instructional growth, and you heard about that. I heard nothing but positive comments from staff about what a wonderful day and what a positive day for professional growth. Challenges. The main challenge for us is to remain open and run school in person while trying to return to normal. This quarter is probably the most normal quarter of the year. Masks are optional. All activities are a go and in full bore. We still are having our proms outdoors and our dance. We have one dance this spring, and that will be outdoors as well. So we're still trying to use precautions, even though we're trying to be as normal as possible. Kids are excited about these activities. So I know Amanda said some nice things about me, and I thank Amanda Herman for that. Getting back to normal has been a year-long process with student behavior, with student language in the building, the vaping. As much as we go down and run them out, and we have restricted passes for some of those students, we've done searches, we've done a number of things, but it's like we're never at the right place at the right time to nip it in the bud, so to speak. It is a place where if there's any skullduggery going to happen, because there's no cameras in there, that's where it's going to happen. But we are vigilant and we are out and about. I just did want to make that point. It's not going with a blind eye. We are trying to wrestle that alligator to the ground. Area of focus. We are focusing on keeping our schools safe, clean, and open for educational platforms this year. And like I said, the whole thing about getting back to normal, having our activities and those things that we've normally had in the past, and including the school district strategic plan, community involvement. And Olay has been up and running from Dartmouth with our high school kids as well as the middle school. So we're in hopes to expand our community involvement more next year, as we are, I believe, reaching total normal running of our high school. That's my report.
Cool, thank you, Mr. Toll. Any questions from the board?
I got one.
All right, take it away, Richard.
Got 2, really. The 3 wrestlers, they won the state championship in their class this year, you said?
Yes, in their weight class, yes.
So their names should be the AD should make sure their name should be put on the banner in the gym, along with the other wrestler that made it championship banner.
I think that banner arrived yesterday or today.
With their names on it?
Yes.
Okay, and Ben Styler, he got nominated, say it again, to the state regional or regional?
All New England team.
Well, he also should have a banner put up in the gym with that stated, because that's a high profile type of situation that should be put up. If you can have the AD, if we have to have a motion for it, I'll make the motion, but.
We do have that recognized in the trophy case out front.
Is it somebody that can be put in the gym?
Well, the recognition that he got for all New England's in the trophy case in the front lobby.
What is it? Just a plaque?
Plaque with his picture.
Okay, all right, well, just Just double checking.
No, we didn't let it go unnoticed.
Yes, oh,
I
go
just,
ahead.
something's kind of gnawing at me a little bit here about the vaping issue. It's a big issue. I mean, it's not just vaping, it's addictions, it's, it's wellness, it's really, and it's a community conversation too, potentially. So is this something the wellness committee should look at potentially, or, to
Yeah.
coordinate? I don't know if that's, if it's helpful at all to.
It's something to think about, but it's also, vaping isn't new.
No, I
Right,
know.
like I don't want people to think that all of a sudden the school's been overwhelmed,
No.
because
Yeah.
there's been vaping, we were doing this when Karen Denholm was the assistant principal. She did a lot of work and offered a lot of trainings for parents, and I think maybe it's time to revisit that.
Right.
And we do
Well,
have
that's
some
what I'm
grant
saying.
money.
This is a bigger.
Yes, of
Conversation.
parents, of what you look for, of
Yeah.
what the devices, how they
Well,
can
and
be
the
hidden
medical
by
community.
students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
dangers of it, and Karen had
Yeah.
done a lot of good work for us, and I think it's time that we revisit
Yeah, I mean,
that for the
it's
public.
looking at it as more of a public
Yes,
health issue.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I guess
Well,
that's where I'm coming from.
Are you disciplining these students that are getting caught with this vaping thing? Are they getting suspended, or are they getting some recourse here to stop this situation?
The ones that, yeah,
I would say that they are, we follow the handbook and they're disciplined accordingly and turned over to the SRO if that is, if that's the case. So yes.
yes.
It's being handled. Okay, because what we heard earlier tonight is alarming, and that's all. That's
Absolutely.
Worth looking into, yeah.
But we do protect the privacy of the students.
Right.
Well, I understand that. I'm not looking to know who and what's doing it. I'd like to know that if this is being handled the way it should be handled, and it's gotta stop, because nobody likes to sit here, and especially on the board, and listen to somebody go off on all these different things, and, you don't need to be coming to a meeting and having this brought up every 2 weeks or whatever.
Cool. Yes, Danielle.
And just to follow up on the, and we can bring this up at the next wellness committee meeting as well, but Breathe New Hampshire does their vaping unveiled presentation. We haven't had one for a few years, so that's potential. I will also say, and perhaps this is something that we can share out on the district Facebook page, for example, our local public health regional networks in coordination with the Dartmouth Health Population Health Department also has kind of a tip sheet for parents as we head into prom and graduation season on what to look for, the conversations to have with your teens in this time where things might happen.
Scary time.
Yeah, so I'll provide that information to Kamala, and she can share it out.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think COVID kind of disrupted a lot of those regular programming, and, with vapes, the technology changes, and what it looks like changes, and the kids are changing every time, so you do have to do it for new parents every single year just about, so.
Yeah, and we've typically done some online safety, for middle school parents, some online safety training and things like that. So it's about time for us to be able to bring those back, I think.
And not saying that they have this issue, but it would be something for parents of middle schoolers to know about vaping.
Most definitely.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Tolcher, so yeah.
And honestly, having that conversation with kind of a precursor or a little executive summary or intro to the youth risk behavior survey and the, and kind of the current realities of kids in our district would probably also be good to pair with that.
All right, anything else, Mr. Toll? All right, thank you, Mr. Toll.
You are welcome.
Good evening. Mr. Little, how you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you, Mr. Josephson?
Good, thank you for your patience. Take it away.
Not at all. Not at all. Happy to be able to speak with you all this evening. You have my reports. I'm just going to hit a couple highlights from each section and take you deep into a couple corners of the school. I like to try to just shine lights on things that I think that you as the board or the public that may be watching might not know. So a couple little pieces here that I'll take you deep in on that I think are pertinent to what we're working on right now at the school. But first, I put a lot about COVID under building safety here, and I've just noted some things that we've changed in the last couple months and some things we're working on now. I'll just point out the interesting thing is that we're starting to do stuff that we haven't done in 2.5 years. And so for, about a third of our population, they've never seen it done this way before. So it's a lot of training for the first time with parents and with students. And it's been good. It's been nice to get back to what a lot of us think of as being normal, but for, again, about a third of our population, this is brand spanking new. So it's been more work than I would have thought it would be to undo some of what we've done. And we are trying to be cautious because, we did have a couple more positive cases this week. And I'm anticipating a couple more with some parents that I know have tested positive and kids have gone home with. So we're trying to be smart, but we are trying to move things forward. My goal is to have the school back to the way it was 2.5 years ago by the time we close the school this year, so that in theory, if things stay on their current trajectory, then we have a pretty easy start, a normal start to next year. That's what I'm shooting for. For student behavior, down at the bottom of the first page, I've put a couple of charts in there. And I just want to point these out to you. Neither of these things are terribly, are things to celebrate, but I think they're things that need to be, have attention drawn to. These are charts noting traffic through the reactive side of the SSC. So that's the sort of the timeout room, as we refer to it with the kids. And also our behavioral referral form. So whenever we have any kind of infraction that's documented and goes home to parents, we chart all that as well. And the first graph, again, it's all the students, so it doesn't split it up by grade level. The second chart breaks it up by grade level and by month. And you can see that March was a pretty challenging month for us. We had a couple, there are a handful of students that we're really working with and that are teaching us a lot as we learn to help them. And they definitely skew the data, but March was challenging. And I think a lot of it is, again, kind of tearing up all the routines and starting them fresh again. And it's hard, that change is hard. And we will be fine, but March, I think, weighed heavy on a lot of folks' shoulders in the building. I'm going to scroll down to staffing here. There are a bunch of different notes there that you can look through at your leisure, but one big one, we did have a resignation of a classroom teacher in March, something that I have never had mid-year before in my career in administration. It was all handled, I think, pretty cordially. Everything was left on good enough terms, but it was a struggle for us, and we had a lot of dominoes that kind of fell to fill in that gap there. So Mrs. Warren, and my hat's off to Mrs. Warren, who's been our library media specialist all year, moved to the classroom. And then we had a couple different folks, one from the middle school. Want to give a little shout out to Morris Levy as well, who's been helping out in the library at Indian River, and really to Jenny in the library at Indian River, and to everyone at IRS for being able to loan us Morris a couple days a week to be able to help us keep our collection going. And we had a para come back to us who had previously retired to do some library classes for us and help us through. So really been a team effort, and I think it's going very, very well. In fact, much better than I anticipated, but it is tricky. The labor market is what it is right now. And, we've put it together the best we can, and I think we're doing pretty well. Down on the academic front, I want to keep highlighting AimsWeb for you all. That has been a big focus this year at the Enfield Village School. A lot of our team meetings, we've spent a lot of time looking at, analyzing, talking about data, learning to use the tool appropriately. And I can't stress enough some of the ways in which it has shaped and formed our approach to students and how we provide services to students and how we look at some of our more capable students as well. So students that we've kind of said all along, like they're doing all right, they're doing fine. We're going to focus our attention elsewhere. Seeing that those students are moving or are not moving has really helped us to refocus on those kids that deserve to be moving forward and getting what they need as well. So I think that's been great. I hope that AimsWeb is here for a long time to come, and the data that we've been collecting, I think, will be very valuable, as it already has been. Under scheduling and sectioning, I'll just share that we've got our preschool and kindergarten orientation and open house respectively coming up next week. Those will be in person. Those will look very similar to the way they did, 3 years ago now. And we're excited about that. And we're going to be cautious. We're still going to be using small groups here. But we're excited to get people into the building. You know, we've had parent-teacher conferences this past week, and we have parents coming into the building. And really, any parent of a current kindergartner, first grader, and a lot of the second graders have never really set foot inside the building. So they show up at the front door and they say, I'm here to do a parent-teacher conference with so-and-so. And we're giving them directions because they literally have no idea where in the building their children's classrooms are. So it's been nice to have people back in again, but it's very surreal, really. And we're smoothing out the normalness. The last thing on here that I want to draw your attention to is just, and this is where I was talking about kind of delving deeply into some details that maybe people wouldn't think to share at this level with the board or with the public, but I would like to. It's our EVS Safe Space Protocol. This is the protocol that we use when we have a child that's particularly volatile or a physical safety risk to themselves or to others. And it's a protocol we wrote about 2.5 years ago, and I've been following and tweaking as we need to. But you'll see there's a lot to it. You know, it's one thing when your 4-year-old has a tantrum in your living room. It's a totally different thing when it's an 8 or a 9-year-old and it's in a public school with a lot of restrictions and red tape and liability, and, you know, making sure that we continue to give those kids what they need, but making sure we have the staff on hand to do it safely and that they're well trained and that they know the paperwork to complete, and knowing that we're all kind of keeping each other checks and balances and helping each other out. It's really hard. It would be easier to just kind of give kids what they want and walk away from the situation and not teach kids or move kids. We've worked really hard to try to help not just manage behaviors, but modify behaviors. This has kind of been our last line of defense, and we have really honed it. There's a change that I made recently, noted in yellow. And basically what it's done is it's limited the amount of time that a student can spend in the safe space. And this was as much out of, it was sort of the reasoning was twofold. One was that we had some kids in there for quite a long time, and it was simply not developmentally appropriate to have students that escalated and that dysregulated for that period of time. And second of all, it really was taxing resources in the building. So we had a couple of students that were needing a 3-to-1 ratio or 4-to-1 ratio dysregulated in the safe space for an hour and a half. And that means I've got 4 people that aren't, or at least 3 people that aren't doing their assigned jobs because they're assisting with a dysregulated child. So we did cap that. I have been sending students home a little more quickly than I otherwise would, not because I want to, not because I'm excited about dismissing members of our community from the community, but because from a safety standpoint and from a, you know, this is what we can do with the resources we have, it's been necessary. So I feel that's a good move. It's certainly one we're going to maintain for the rest of this year, and then we'll reevaluate next year. I'm hopeful that with a behavior specialist or a behavior coach in place next year, that position that's been vacant for 2 years at EVS, that could help a lot and help us to avoid getting to a place where we need to sort of invoke a change like this. But you know, we are doing what we need to do to keep everyone safe.
Cool. All right.
Yep.
Anything else? Did you have anything else?
Nope, that's all I have. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer those questions.
Anybody? Cool. Thank you. That sounds like some good positive developments, and you know, it is good to get back to, you know, getting people in the building, the community, and engaging, especially with little kids. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cool. Is Mr. Bizzo or Mr. Suddy on?
Sure, I'm right here.
Oh, okay. Hi. Which one would you like to do first?
So you do have Mr. Suddy's report in your packet. I will entertain any questions that you might have in accordance with his report.
All right.
You also have Mr. Bisso's report in your packet. I would like you to pay just careful attention to the first part where we're starting to look at some of the mental health crisis piece. So I will say that that's sort of becoming a focus. I know that Ms. Burke is also starting to work on some of this with Mr. Bisso. So we're looking at the social emotional curriculum for all of our kids, not just special ed, but this is a good start. And I'll entertain any questions.
All right. Any questions on special ed?
I'm sorry, one final thing on Mr. Beasl's report,
Yeah.
challenges at the very end. We'll give you some details on some of the most recent move-ins that we've had. And looking at the challenging recruiting system that we'll need to face.
Yep.
As we start to hire some special educators. We expect a fair amount of turnover in special educators for us this year,
This is every district.
as
for
does
sure.
every district. Now I'll take questions.
I
All
have
right.
one question about the, his first comment about the autism, that nationally, he said 1 in 44 children diagnosed with autism, early intervention is key. What do we do now? And just
Oh, we do some screenings at the preschool level.
preschool, so we
Yeah.
do, so that is
So we are doing that,
happening.
and even, if there are concerns with very, very young children, we would be able to help with that.
Right, so that is out there. in
Yes,
place.
absolutely.
Good.
All right. Any other questions? All right, cool. On to new business. Seeing as how Mr. Spielman has been so patient,
Yeah.
I will entertain a motion to bump the very last thing on the Washington DC field trip request to the next item on the agenda.
So moved.
All right. A second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of changing the agenda? Aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? All right. Just like that, you're up.
Wow,
I bet
thank you
thought
very
had
much.
Another hour.
It could be. It's a happy place here, so that's good. So thank you very much. I'm John Swillen. I teach. Where do you want me to stand?
Perfect.
That's too big. I'm John Swillen. I teach social studies here at the high school, and I am going to be requesting the opportunity to explore a Washington DC field trip for next spring. I gave you some information. I apologize if it's too much or too little, but I just kind of thought I'd walk through kind of where where we are in the process. Just a little bit, I went on 5 or 6 of these at a previous position that I had, and found them really, quite fun, quite educational, and, very much of a worthwhile time. So what I'm kind of requesting is the ability to continue the process and find out more. A couple of things, tentative dates. I just put in here March. I talked to the kids. March was great. It's during school. I requested with Mr. Toll that I think that might be a good topic for our staff meeting next week to see what the rest of the staff thinks about that. We have some history with trips like this, the Spanish and French trips, which I believe were mostly over spring break. So we want to talk about that. And also just how this is a trip that has never, as far as I know, the high school's never gone. And now coming out of the pandemic, we don't want to make a new field trip that's going to block other field trips that might, so just kind of those kinds of things. I've worked with World Strides at all other times, and I'm working with them on this one. They're very helpful. And so that's kind of what I'm planning on doing, because like I say, I've been very comfortable with them. Number of students? Don't know. We had a nice meeting. I've got about 20 kids who have expressed interest in going. I don't think there's a maximum. I think there might be a minimum, but whatever, might be the group. And then, the other thing, obviously for cost, I'm not trying to be coy here, but I just don't know, because 10 kids is different than 30 kids. 30 kids gets a whole motor coach if we want to do that. 10 kids will not. I mean, so I'd like to be able to do a little more investigation into that as well. So I mentioned a couple of other things about the planning trips. Just on a disclosure thing, World Strides is more than happy to incentivize the program leader in lots of ways. One of which is if you get so many kids to come, we'll give you so much money. Any incentives that would come in as part of this would be then put into whatever we use to pay for the trip. So just not for me. So I'm asking, can we consider to still do this? And this is maybe more of a question for Mr. Toll and Ms. McIntyre. To what extent do we make this a huge attempt to get as many kids as possible? Do we want to get a smaller group as possible? My thought is to limit it to juniors and seniors. and kind of see what goes from there. And obviously, you know, if we're going ahead, if the board would like to help defray some of this, that would be lovely. But that's kind of basically where I am, and so that's what I'm requesting.
All right,
And I'm happy to entertain any questions that you might have.
all right. Any questions for Mr. Strickland? So I have some, but I'll let her know.
So the high school's never gone?
No?
I've been here 7 years and they haven't. I believe
So-
like one of my first years, the middle school went.
So, just for background, the 8th grade used to have a history club, where they would, right, history club, I
That's
think?
correct.
And so they would do a field trip to Washington DC. It was very popular. Brewster went one year, and they took down like, I don't know, the whole class just about.
Well, it was on one bus.
One bu- okay,
One
one
bus. We never, I mean, I've had 2 kids that have gone on it, and
Yeah.
it has not been more than one bus.
Good, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, not the whole school, no, it's kind of like a good number of kids. And so, kids who would be juniors and seniors missed out on that, because they stopped doing
Correct.
that right around that time. So,
Yes.
this is a good timing for them.
Yes.
Go ahead. Oh,
No, so I think it's great. I mean, I'm surprised that we don't, and it's definitely, do they, is it done in like conjunction with the curriculum thing? And
The curriculum thing, like with a class?
no, just like what you're learning about Washington, or is there a program, you know, that you're studying? I guess
So
if you're-
we certainly can tie it in with US history next year, but again, we haven't done it before, so I'm not there yet. That'd be a good thing to do. Yeah, that's gonna be a good thing to do. And one other thing I didn't mention is that this would be an academic trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, you know, we're not gonna go plan a pool afternoon or go to the zoo, kind of thing.
Right, I saw you had a lot of interesting ideas. There's, you know, like, museums are free, so many different things, and.
There is plenty to do.
Plenty to do.
There's plenty to do.
Any other, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a great way. I actually think that having a high school level trip as opposed to an 8th grade trip allows for more connections to the curriculum as opposed to what the kids in 8th grade saw. I mean, in our 8th grade trip, it was tied to history club, so they did have to do some additional work. They all had to do presentation, you know, research and do presentations around different museums or different things that maybe they would be going to see while they were in DC and present to the group. So it did require a little extra work, but I think that just the conversations that you're having within the US history and other sort of current events sort of things that you're just better prepared for as a high school student, to have some of those conversations and have them be meaningful and impactful. Whether you're relating that to something that you want to do in your future career or life or advocacy, personal or otherwise, like there's a lot that I think can be built around that. I do also like the idea of utilizing a tour company, because that is one of the things that I think is maybe was a bit unsustainable at the IRS level, is thinking that the advisors to that group would be planning that out for each group each year. And I think it's worth it to have experts in groups, and especially in that area, to provide that kind of guidance. And it's worth it from a logistics perspective to have some help in that area, and to, even if that costs a little bit for the company to do the organizing. But a good organizer will find you discounts that you may not have had, and put together an itinerary that will best utilize your time while you're there. So I like the idea of it being at high school. I think junior and seniors for sure would be what would be the right kind of time frame there, or the grade, you know, just maturity level.
Right, and that's the best.
You know, it just, and it gives them more time, again, to have gone through the social studies curriculum and pick up on different things so that they can really take advantage of that time in in Washington DC as well. And just because you have an academic trip doesn't mean you can't do any fun things.
Oh, no. I didn't mean that, I just didn't want it to.
Yes.
One of the things that always came up before is, well, we'll have time to go to the pool, and the answer is no.
Right.
And so they were like, oh, that's gonna be fun. So, but yes, no, it should be fun.
Yes. Yep, Richard?
I got a lot of things with that. I mean, Karen knows, because I went on the 8th grade trip that year and went with it. And the 8th grade trip and the advisor, he had to do some finagling because things changed in the minute when you're on the trip. We went to Philly, the bus broke down, we ended up coming back to Washington DC, had to, delay. I mean, there's a lot of things. We got to go to the Washington Monument. I mean, there was a lot of things to do on that trip. You got a different age bracket with juniors and seniors, which I have no problem with. They got their own ideas, what they want to do. I wish the 8th grade class would still go back down there because they learned a lot going down there. They went to the Holocaust Museum thing. They went to some other stuff. We traveled. We went to a ball game. We had to split the team up and go to. The advisor had to take half the team back to the complex because we were in a rain delay to the ball game. There was a lot of things happening. We went to the Washington monuments. We had night tours. I mean, they're going to Washington DC. It'd be nice to go and have the tour company say, okay, we're going to be able to go near the to the Capitol. We'll be able to go and we got to see Kelly Ayotte when we were there. I always that was great. I mean, Mrs. Ott was the other advisor, and it was a great thing because we got to go right into the Capitol, right to the door. Well, she came out and had a picture of the whole group, and I was impressed with the 8th grade class because they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything to get in trouble. I mean, they didn't. I mean, so.
That's good you were there. That's right.
I mean, it did. So
if you keep them busy enough, that's
right.
helpful.
Tire them out.
Yeah. And the other thing though is, absolutely, once we kind of nail down dates.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. To see if we can get one of our members of Congress to spend a little time to give a tour. And the other thing is the offices will usually will. So, if Annie Custer's not available, there's probably somebody in her office that can give us a tour. No, I totally agree. And the other thing about those kinds of unforeseen, well, then World Strides takes care of those.
Yes, right. And
so I mean, there's a lot to worry about without having to also be make the itinerary.
Another benefit of a tour company is that they will, sometimes they'll get you in places that a normal person wouldn't be able to because they have connections. And so they are able to know what time of day, this is the best time to go to this, and that sort of thing, and that's super handy.
Like the Holocaust Museum, when we took this group from Minnesota where I was there, we were able to not go in the public entrance, but go in the private entrance, at a scheduled time. No, you're right, all those things are possible.
And then the other thing I would say is this will line up, especially if you do it in future years, it'll line up better with juniors taking civics. Because then it's like, oh, wow, it all comes together.
Absolutely.
It clicks, hopefully.
Then it all makes sense.
Dr. Fay, you have a quick comment?
Yeah, it's just a question. What's the duration and, sort of ballpark estimated cost per student for this trip?
Well, the time would be 3 to 4 days, or maybe 4+. It kind of depends. If we end up taking a bus, there's a day going back and forth, and so I think that we'd like to have 3 days on the ground.
Yeah.
I am trying to hold very hard to not naming a price because I don't know.
Because you don't want to be tied to that.
I don't know. Because once I say a price, then that's right there.
It's real, it's like $5.
Are there budgetary constraints in terms of the travel program? I guess that's what I don't understand too.
What do you mean?
Well, if we need, as the school board, if they need to come, there's a travel fund.
Non-academic.
Academic
That's not really.
So academic.
That's like.
Is that for teams only, or is that?
For academic teams.
Academic teams, okay, I guess I
But
would.
this is a year away, so.
Right, and I would, once we get a group together, here's how big the nut is. If you guys do some fundraising, it's this.
Yeah.
If we can get a grant from, from some
Okay,
charitable
so
foundation,
I was
then
confusing.
it's this.
Yeah.
So there's lots of ways
Yeah.
to try to control that.
And it's good to start early because now you can start saying, okay, we start fundraising, and it doesn't hurt as much when you're doing a little at a time.
Right, a little at a time. And, you kind of mentioned, kind of time is one of the things, given whatever the time frame is, we might have 6-7 months with knowing this group of kids is going then.
Yep.
And so we meet once a month, and this is our goal.
Yeah.
And then we also maybe talk about this. I think there's a lot of possibilities.
So I'll make a motion, you can go ahead and explore this, and that way you can go and fill out the form you need to, and also to, because the Burn Foundation, I know, as soon as you come up with some kind of game plan, they will usually, I don't speak for them, but they usually will donate to these things.
That was one of the things we had talked about. Was
And so the Burn Foundation will be one of them would help you out. And so I'll make a motion, you go ahead and explore this.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Danielle, second. Any further discussion?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Well, thank you. Thank you very
Thanks for coming up with this.
And when this gets put together, I'm assuming I need to come back and say it's going to be this much money, I'm taking them across these many state lines, that kind of thing.
Yep, this gets you going off on the process, and then, come back, let us know what it is. So, all those in favor of authorizing the trip to DC as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? All right, fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Oh, go ahead.
One more quick question. I think there was something on here about other possible trips that might be happening, or I'm dreaming it.
No.
Did the music department say that they were thinking about it?
They are, at least the last time I talked to Amy Morris, and so I talked to Amy Morris, I talked to Lindsay Coolidge, I talked to Alice Lee about other trips to make sure that we're not jumping on each other. But I'm pretty sure Amy is planning a trip.
She is, as
They
far as
going
I
to
know,
Williamsburg
later,
thing again?
something like that. They haven't decided yet, but it'll be later in the spring, but check out the musical dates. Make sure
Right,
it doesn't
no,
get-
and I will coordinate that to make sure that, the other thing is also, we don't want to have like maybe a band kid, maybe having to choose between two things.
Right,
exactly.
Which would that be no fair?
No,
Right.
no.
Okay.
Right, yeah, we're doing that consideration for the athletes.
Thank you.
Right, exactly. All right, cool. All right, so we'll go back to the top of new business. So I will entertain a motion to approve the $25,000 donation from the Children's Literacy Foundation for IRS, EVS, and CES.
Make a motion to approve the donation of $25,000 per school for, it's only EVS and CES.
And IRS too, please.
And IRS, okay, for the schools mentioned from the Children's Literacy Foundation.
I'll second.
All right, Kathleen second. Any discussion? Many thanks to the Children's Literacy Foundation, and thanks to those who wrote this grant, so. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, and abstentions. That's good to go. All right, and next up, donation of $6,500 from Jack and Dorothy Burn Foundation for IRS Destination Imagination.
Make motion to approve the donation of $6,500 from the Jack and Dorothy Burn Foundation for the IRS Destination Imagination logo trip.
All right,
Second.
and Kathleen, any further discussion? Many thanks to the Burn Foundation for this. All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, and abstentions. All right. And we have another donation. We did not have to have a hearing because it was under the required amount. $2,270.93 from the Hanover Consumer Co-op Society. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve or accept the donation of $2,270.93 from the Hanover Consumer Co-op. In this, from the letter, it looks like directed towards EVS. Correct.
Yes.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All right, any further discussion on that?
Is this to go towards the playground project, or?
Is it like the receipt roundup kind of thing?
I think it's a receipt roundup.
Okay.
Where you say,
Okay.
but they're pretty specific about wanting to know well, they'd love to tell their stories about what the money is going to.
Yeah.
And that would be great publicity. I mean,
If
do we
they're-
know what it is going to?
I don't know if those funds have been earmarked for anything specific yet, but we will
Right.
have Mr. Little follow up. He'll follow up with,
Right.
with
And
Rob.
maybe
and
on the
no.
newsletter,
Yeah, maybe it's to help with did they finish the outdoor classroom?
I don't know. if
So
you
Wherever
or
it
know.
would be
something, I
best.
mean, maybe it's,
Not
maybe it was
exactly.
something like that, or it could be because the co-op books these things
Yeah.
far in advance. It could have been when, like, the original
Oh.
proposal might have been for the playground
Could have been.
project.
Right.
Yeah,
And
So I don't know.
I'm
So we
sure
might
they'll
even
use
have
something.
pictures and.
Yeah,
stuff
we'll
to-
find out. We'll certainly follow up with the
Okay.
co-op and let them know. I
Yeah.
think that's a reasonable
I
request.
just know that's a
Yeah.
very good.
because they'll put that in their newsletter,
Yeah.
pictures of whatever we put in
Yes.
and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on that one? All those in favor of accepting the donation of $2,270.93 from the Hanover Consumer Co-op, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed and abstentions. All right. Next thing we have on our agenda is advice of our attorney on vice chair positions. We did talk about this a little bit about this last time, but Kathleen, you were not here, and so it was just four of us, and we did not want to hold a full discussion without everybody here. Is this something that the board still wants to discuss?
Well, it's all here, guys.
Yeah. So, you appointed me the acting chair, we can select an acting vice chair, we can do whatever you like, so.
So I looked at the, last time I asked that we look at the policy that it refers to, and it's BDB. So I printed it up. It's pretty clear. It said, the vice chairman shall have the powers and duties of the chairman in his or her inability to preside at such other powers. So it's the vice chair becomes the chairman. So then it's really just a question in my mind is what we, then the vice chairman becomes at large. And we vote it in, we vote somebody in. So at that point, if it's deemed necessary to refill that position, or.
But that part's not in the policy.
No,
though.
that's the part we would have to add.
Right.
Yes.
So-
So,
Yes.
I'm a little confused, maybe. I think that there's a choice, according to the Roberts Rules of Order, that we can do it on a temporary basis should the vice chairman not be able to attend. Then the secretary would open the meeting and we would decide a temporary vice chair for that particular meeting.
That's Roberts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounded really familiar, yeah.
And it's only temporary.
Yeah, it's only for that
So-
one meeting.
If we're going to decide tonight to link our actions to that policy, we need to be clear on what we're doing.
We don't have to do anything, like, that's the thing, we can do whatever we want, we can do whatever the board chooses.
I think it's rare that
It is.
this would come up,
It is,
so.
so,
I'm confused.
okay, I mean, it's just, it's basically, if you want to have someone else be appointed as acting vice chair, go ahead, but you don't have to, you can if you want, we can, it's up to the board.
It's,
I personally don't think I want to act on it tonight.
Okay.
I think that should something happen and we don't have a vice chair, we know what our options are.
Cool, all right, anything else?
are you just saying we would resort to Robert's Rule of Order?
Right,
Okay.
anything else?
You know what we did in the past, right?
I know what you did in the past.
Well, you just, never mind.
All right,
Never mind, I just think that what we did in the past, and I don't wanna get into that, is what happened, and the other board members are here, other than, only one who was here was Danielle. So you saw what I said, and I won't go into any more. I just think it's a situation where I made my point when I made my point the last week. Maybe it was the wrong thing to say, but that's how I felt. I still feel that way. And it's just a matter of taking care of business.
All right, next on our agenda, we have the 2022-2023 school board meeting calendar up for approval. And we put this one off because I think you had to correct a date or two on there, right? Or,
Well, we had talked about leaving the July 26th meeting,
yeah.
but removing the August 9th meeting.
oh yeah,
We would be able to do that. The question was, would bus routes be available? And the answer is yes, we could have
Okay.
bus routes available on the 26th of July for that
Okay.
meeting.
that's good, because that was our main concern about August, and that
Correct.
would be great to get them out so early.
Yeah.
And like, people
I mean, they always do change. We do get parents that call in, but the preliminary routes could be out.
but knowing roughly what time your kid's gonna get picked up or dropped off, so,
So keep that one and then remove the August 9th.
I think so.
I think that was
I
the
think we can
discussion
all
we
take
had. The other issue was the December meeting. I would suggest that we go as exactly as we did this year, where we leave that meeting sort of as tentative.
Yep.
And we'll try to get most of the business done at the first meeting of the month. Should we need, and then we could choose then not to have that meeting.
It is like, what is it, like the 22nd or something like that? I don't have my
20th.
computer yet. 20th, okay, yeah. Yeah, we can play that one by ear.
And it's a yes on the March 21st, just reorganizational meeting. I do believe
Okay.
that's a yes.
Yes.
And then Tuesday, April 11th,
Wow, that's lit.
we had that meeting, I believe, does that fall over break? I think that was,
Yeah.
I have my calendar
February
right
break we
here.
changed, not April break, right?
Yeah, that will once again fall
Yeah.
over April break, and I think it's fine to leave it over April break.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. This year, it was quite a long span in between meetings,
Yeah.
if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
And it also would put us meeting and then another, because the 4th is it would put meeting and then a week later, another meeting.
Yeah.
So I think to
Just
keep it on the
Just
11th
keep it.
And I mean,
is good.
we just won't schedule any teachers or anyone to come in like for that meeting or
Right.
keep it light,
Yeah,
you know.
Keep it light, I think is a good idea.
Keep it vacation mode.
Yep, and
You
those
can
were
all
the
come
only
in.
questions.
All right. Any further discussion on the calendar? All right.
Make a motion that we approve the 2022-2023 school board meeting calendar.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All right, any further discussion? Thank you for putting that together, figuring out all the dates.
Sure.
All those in favor of the 2022-2023 school board meeting calendar, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed and abstentions. All right. Staff retirement celebration.
Yep, that is scheduled for June 6th, so this is just an informational piece for you all. That is scheduled for June 6th. I believe it's at 3:30 at the Enfield Town Hall, no, what's it
The
called?
Enfield
Community
Center.
Center, yeah.
Yeah, so it will be scheduled there. A formal invitation will go out, but tentatively June 6th for your calendars.
Cool. All right, and then school board retreat. So we need, first, I guess, a date, but also to decide like what kind of day do you want to have this? Do you want to have it on Saturday morning like we have? Do you want to have it on a, weekday evening? How are people thinking they would like to do this?
Yeah, last year we ended up doing it on Saturday early afternoon, or
Sunday
Sunday
afternoon.
afternoon, before the awards, before
That's
the
right,
senior awards.
that's right. That wasn't that bad, actually. I don't know, maybe it made for a long day.
I mean, I think we kept the retreat actually a little bit short, the retreat part was a little bit shorter.
Yeah,
A little too short, maybe.
yeah.
It was 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 3 is a good, aim for it if you can come in under it. Right. Are people good with a Sunday afternoon?
My
rather
June
not?
is looking a little shaky, but
Yeah,
early on in June might be better. But
yeah, like June 5th?
yeah, that weekend, yeah.
Oh, that's a shaky, no good?
Oh, no, no,
Oh, no,
it
weekend is
is.
good.
Anything after that is,
Yeah, it gets dicey with, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. Did you prefer a like Saturday morning, or do you want to do like a Sunday afternoon retreat, or a weeknight retreat, or something like that?
A weekday, we
I
could
mean,
do
weekday,
a
yeah.
weekday afternoon if the
Yep.
board wanted to do that. I know some of y'all work, but we could do an afternoon.
Otherwise, I mean, I'm good doing a Sunday afternoon if people like that.
Yeah, I suspect that is probably gonna be that 5th is gonna end up being the senior awards
Okay.
again. Because graduation is the 10th, right?
Yeah.
So usually it's the Sunday before graduation,
correct.
that's senior
I
awards.
mean, it's nice in the sense that you're here and you
Yeah.
attend them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
If we do it here again,
yeah.
but,
Yeah.
um,
Do we want to do like, because those are typically at what, like 5, I think? 5, 6?
It was a little different time.
The timing is
changed.
earlier, I believe it's
Yeah.
earlier. It's
Okay.
no longer an evening thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not listed on the
It's not
calendar
listed
yet. So I don't know what time that will be, but I feel like it was a 3 o'clock event. I feel like it was fairly
It might
early.
have
Yeah, and I think
3
we
or
started at
4?
1.
It might have been, that might have been
Yeah.
where we did the
it was 1 to
12
3,
o'clock
yeah.
start,
Yeah,
thinking that it was gonna be like 5 or 6, and.
It was a fairly early
Yeah.
awards,
awards.
it was.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, we can certainly pencil it in for that time, and then if they do it a little later, great. If they do it earlier,
We could start at 11 and start with food,
yeah, that's true. We have brunch.
food and conversation.
Do we want, okay, then, Sunday, June 11th, Sunday, June 5th, from 11 a.m. to like 3 p.m. Maybe pencil that in. I'm just talking here, unless someone else has a better idea.
I think that works. The
Okay.
graduation is the next weekend, and
Yep.
and it does get.
It'll be much hairier anytime after that, I think.
Yeah.
Cool, all right.
Does that work for you, Brewster? Were you planning on coming to senior awards and just?
I have no idea what's gonna happen in June, to tell you the truth,
Okay.
because playoffs are.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I don't have those on my calendar because I don't think we're gonna be there.
Yeah.
Don't count on me,
It's
because
kinda
I can't commit to that.
Okay,
All right, because you guys won't my comment anyway, probably, but that's all right.
okay, then, I'll turn a motion to set the school board retreat for Sunday, June 5th at 11 a.m.
So moved.
All right, Danielle, in a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
Playoffs are in that weekend.
are they in that weekend?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will see how it looks then. All those in favor of that date, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? All right. Cool. That is everything on our agenda for new business. Agenda items for next meeting, we have some committee reports, we have support staff nominations, EOP, what's EOP again?
Emergency operations
Oh, thank you,
plan.
emergency operating procedures, and student athletic handbooks. I think that sounds like a pretty fun, build back meeting. Public comments? Anything else like Rebecca? All right, anyone out there in Zoom land, raise their hand, go nuts? All right. So, thank you. We have personnel resignations and nominations as presented right here.
So the first nomination you have was not on the original list that you approved last time, so it is on here now. And then we do have 3 resignations for the board.
Okay. All right, any discussion on those? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion that we approve the nominations and resignation and retirements as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor of nominations and resignations as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed and abstentions. All right. That's set. And we have non-public?
We do for the purposes of A and B.
All right.
Make a motion that we go into non-public.
All right.
Second,
Brewster?
Yep.
Tim, yes. Danielle?
Yes.
Kathleen?
yes.
Hope?
Yes.
We are in non-public.
Not yet.
Mhm.
Are we good, Kim?